50% of us fail to keep our New Year's resolutions. I'm Dean Bokhari, and in today's episode of the Meaningful Podcast, I'm going to give you 10 science-backed tips for making your habits stick and to actually following through and keeping up with your New Year's resolutions. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, every single year, it seems like we make another resolution, right? To eat better, to exercise more, to lose weight, lose fat, stop stressing out, start meditating, all this different stuff, right? But while our intentions are wonderful and they're all good, our follow through, okay, is often where we need to work, where we need to put the work in and to make sure that we stick with it. And, research straight out of the University of Scranton Journal of Psychology tells us that almost 50% of people fail to keep their New Year's resolutions, okay? 46% of us don't end up following through, okay? And it just amazes me, right, that we haven't figured out a widespread way to get everybody to learn about how to actually do this, right? How to actually make progress. Once we say we're going to do something, what's the gap that we need to fill between saying we're going to do it and then actually doing it regularly? Okay, I think a lot of us, we get excited, we get really pumped up, and I'm speaking for myself, I'm speaking for maybe you if you've made resolutions and haven't stuck with them. And what I'm saying is that a lot of times we get pumped up, we get really excited, but then that initial excitement, that initial motivation is not sustainable. It doesn't last, right? It's like a kid opening up a new gift and getting a new toy and getting really, really excited and playing with it for a few days and then just putting it in the corner of his collection of toys and never playing with it again, right? So that's oftentimes what New Year's resolutions can be like. And as a result of that, we don't end up sticking with it. So how do you stick with it? What do you need to do? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode now. Okay, so I want to give you these top 10 tips for making your habits stick, baby. What do we need to do? And the first one you want to do is you want to actually ask yourself a question, okay? You want to ask yourself, whatever resolutions that you're making, whatever habits you're going to commit to, you want to ask, are you doing it for yourself? Do you really want to do this? Or are you doing it just because it sounds good, just because it's popular, because other people are doing it? Because, one of the things with habits, okay, and that's what a resolution really is. Resolution translates to habit. If you really want it to transform your life and to sustain it, you want to keep it, maintain it, it's got to be a habit, okay? So if it's going to be a habit, then it's got to be something that you actually really want to do. So what is a habit? So a habit is the intersection, okay, of something that you want, right? So you know what you want, something that you have developed a skill in, okay, and where you know how to do it, okay, and you know why you're doing it, okay? So it's the intersection of what is it, how do I do it, why am I doing it, right? So you can know, for instance, if you want to go to the gym, right, and you want to get healthy, you want to lose weight, you can know what you want to do, right, which is to get healthy. You can know why you want to do it, right, which is to become fit, to look good, all those reasons, whatever those reasons that each of us have, right? And you can know what you want to do, you can know why you want to do it, but you might not know exactly how to do it, right? You might not be skilled with regard to using exercise equipment and performing the exercises properly. So in that case, you seek out the help of maybe a personal trainer or a coach, for instance, right? So Those are the things that need to come together in order for you to actually create a habit. And you really got to want it in order to do that, right? Because habits are not easy. Habits are hard work. But after you develop something that you want, something that you want to become skilled at, you learn how to do it, you figure out why you want to do it. When those things come together and they converge, and you multiply that day after day after day, simple steps every day, then eventually, it becomes easy, right? It becomes streamlined, it becomes simple for you. It becomes automatic. You don't have to think about doing it anymore. And that's when it becomes a habit, right? That's when it becomes a beautiful part of your life, right? So that's the first question you want to ask yourself. Do I really want to do this? Am I doing it for myself? And what do I need to do in order to turn this thing into a habit for myself? Okay. The next piece here is to create what I call habit ramps, right? So imagine initially trying to create the habit of going to the gym, for instance, right? I'll use that a lot in these examples because it also just so happens to be the number one most made resolution among people. And that resolution is to lose weight or get healthy, get fit, whatever. So that's the top one. That's the one that the majority of people make every year. Some sort of some variation of losing weight, losing fat, getting fit, building muscle, whatever. So some variation of that, okay, of the health-related arena. So I'm going to talk a lot about that in these tips. I'll use as a metaphor, as an overlay. So let's talk about creating habit ramps, right? When I first decided years ago that I decided that I wanted to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, okay? So, and I wanted to do that at least 6 days a week. And so for me, I already loved going to the gym, so that wasn't a problem for me. For me, the problem was waking up early, right? Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so I thought, gosh, okay, what do I need to do in order to make sure that this sticks? What do I need to do? What are the things that I need to put into place, the disciplines that I need to put into place? And I thought, okay, cool, let's set up these habit ramps, right? They'll make it a little bit easier for me. And what I would do is I would get my gym clothes, right? I would literally just sleep in my gym clothes. And, for dudes, that's a lot more simple than it is for guys, but I would just put on my shorts and I would have just, my tank top or whatever. The point is I'd have everything ready to go. I'd have my gym shoes ready to go. I'd have my gym bag ready to go. I'd have the bottled water in there already. I would have this, pre-workout powder that I would drink before the gym to get me pumped up for the gym to exercise. And I would already have the powder inside of my shaker and on my bedside table so that as soon as I wake up, I can just drink it immediately, mix the water in there and drink it. And, those things, those simple little things have such a dramatic impact. I'm telling you, if you haven't tried it, try it. So huge. Okay, so habit ramps, putting your shoes by the bed, having your clothes ready to go, if you need to take a change of clothes with you to the gym, for instance, I would do that. And I would go to work immediately afterwards. And I'd shower there. I'd bring all the stuff I needed. And it would all be ready to go the night before. So all I needed to do was just literally, my alarm would go off. I'd jump out of bed, drink my pre-workout stuff, my gym bag, my clothes, all that stuff would be ready to go. I'd just go in there, brush my teeth real quick, and I'd run out the door. Get up, run out the door. And before I could even think about it, before my mind could even process the fact that it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and what the heck am I doing up so early? I'd already be in the gym. I'd already be going. I would even already know, I'd have my training log with me. So I would already have my exercise routine set up for that morning. Okay. So sometimes I even got into the habit of reviewing it the night before in bed. I still do that to this day. I'll look at what I need to do not just in the gym, but for the following day. for every aspect of my life. I'll just quickly review it. I'll visualize it, think about it. Cool, done, sleep, right? Just a few minutes before bed. Okay, so create habit ramps. So the next piece here is that mental fitness leads to physical fitness, okay? So what you want to do here is really gain an understanding of just these two simple impulses in your brain and override them and learn how to control them when you can, okay? This is really going to help you with sustaining your habits. Otherwise, if you don't use this, then you'll be a lot more susceptible, like a lot of people are, to hitting the snooze button in the morning time, to, skipping the gym because you got invited to happy hour, just those little things, cracking open that bag of chips when you know that you shouldn't reach for it. It's the immediate gratification that you'll be able to solve by understanding that it actually comes from a part of your brain. Okay, so what you want to do here is anticipate these weak parts and put something in place to ensure that they don't derail you from actually making your progress, okay? These weak parts of your brain. And in this context, in the context of creating and maintaining habits, you understand these two parts, the hot part of your brain and the cold part of your brain. The brain's hot part is called the limbic system, okay? This is the reflexive, primitive, proximate part of the brain that says, gimme, 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 that wants immediate pleasure, that wants to hit the snooze button in the morning time. Instead of getting up for the gym, getting ready, and going and maintaining your habit, it tells you, this part of your brain tells you to, oh no, it's okay, catch a few more Z's, just sleep for 5 more minutes. It's that 5 more minutes part. Have you ever said that? 5 more minutes? And then you end up waking up, kicking yourself because that 5 more minutes ended up turning into an hour or 2 or 3. So, we've all been there. And this part, the limbic system, this hot part, this immediate pleasure part of our brain, we all have it. Every single one of us. You're probably thinking of times in your life and in your days, your weeks, your months right now where it's like, oh, okay, now I know, all right, where that's coming from. So now you understand that's the limbic part of your brain, the limbic system, the hot part. Okay. Now, to keep us from acting on all of these little limbic system related desires, the immediate pleasure, immediate gratification desires, our brain, in all its beauty and complexity, is designed to balance that part of our brain with a rational and reflective, quote unquote, cool system, right? The cool part of the brain. And this, by the way, this understanding comes from a book I read called The Marshmallow Test, written by Walter Mischel, okay, Dr. Walter Mischel. So if you want a deeper understanding of how the brain works and mastering self-control, get that book or get the flash notes for it at getflashnotes.com. So now the hot system, the hot part of the brain is balanced by the cool part of the brain, the cool system, okay, and that's located primarily in the prefrontal cortex, okay, and that developed much later in the evolutionary process of human beings, right? And the limbic system is old school, man. That's caveman days. So that's been around. It's deeply embedded within our biology, okay? Because our ancestors used to use that part of the brain quite regularly when they were running away from large animals that were going to eat them and kill them, right? Luckily, we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can exercise the critical thinking parts of our brain, the long-term success parts of our brain, the strategy parts, more so now than having to be worried about running away because we're going to get eaten by a lion, right? So this part of the brain developed, called the prefrontal cortex, again, is something that allows you to, when temptation strikes, okay, that hot system activates and it can lead you to, not being able to control your impulses, okay? But you can outsmart that side, okay? You can outsmart that knee-jerk response by coming up with if-then scenarios, okay? So maybe you've tried this before, but it's about if you regularly skip the gym, for instance, right? Then what you could do is, okay, once I get off, if I skip the gym, then if I get off work at 6 p.m., then I'm going to put on my workout clothes and immediately run 1 mile if I miss the gym, right? So, or you could say, set up another even more detailed part of this if-then scenario and say, if I'm going up only 4 flights of stairs today, then I'll take the stairs, right? So if you're going back home or whatever. So instead of just like a vague if-then scenario, which you can easily overrule with your hot system and not think about and just skip over going to the gym, for instance, you can get real specific here and set yourself up for success and overcoming your weak spots, okay? So if you know that you habitually will tend to skip the gym in the morning time, then you really want to promise yourself, for instance, if working out is one of your goals, then you say, okay, if I skip the gym in the morning time, then once I get off work at 6 p.m., I'm going to go jog 1 mile. I'm going to go work out, lift weights for 60 minutes. If I can't do that for whatever reason, then I'm going to damn well make sure that I at least go, at a minimum go, for a 20-minute walk, right? So you set up these if-then scenarios that cascade down from best case scenario to worst case scenario. You'll set yourself up for success even if you only take a little bit of action. Get what I'm saying? So you want to use this is the long-term strategy thinking part of your brain that you want to tap into to override this immediate pleasure. Let's just skip the gym. Let's just forget about it all. Let's just derail everything just because you slipped up once, right? So you set yourself up to pull your socks back up when you fall down by understanding how to override these different impulses in your brain. So it's pretty cool, powerful stuff. Now, let's talk about the next tip here. The next tip here is to use a reframe, okay? A mental psychological reframe. And to think of mistakes, not just as mistakes, as failures, but as mistakes, right? Mis-takes, M-I-S-takes. If you think about the way that that's spelled, right? You think of them as if you were approaching it as an entertainer, right? As maybe like a if you're on stage as an actor or actress, right? If you are practicing, right, and you're you're in class or whatever, or you're shooting a film or whatever it is, then if you screw it up, then you just say, oh, okay, the director says it's a mistake. All right, let's just do it again. Let's shoot that scene again, right? Then you think about your lines, you reflect again, and they shoot another take, right? That's what happens, and they don't think twice about it. They don't beat themselves up about it if they're mentally stable, which a lot of entertainers are not. They just, generally speaking, what you want to do, the protocol is, okay, cool, I messed that up. But that doesn't mean life is over. That doesn't mean, just because I opened up a bag of chips and I couldn't resist temptation for a little bit, doesn't mean that now I go to the drive-thru, I start ordering pizzas, and I start getting, chicken wing. You don't have to just go all out if you slipped up a little bit, right? Just think of it as a mistake, okay? Shoot another scene. You messed up that first scene by opening up a bag of chips, but that doesn't mean that you are a terrible actor. It just means that you need to shoot another take, okay? So you want to use this type of reframe, and you want to pick yourself back up. You really want to use positive self-talk here. It works. Talking to yourself, having a good self-image is a very powerful thing. Okay, thinking of things differently, reframing your perspective on the world. Just because you failed does not mean that you are a failure. It just means that you failed at one little thing here. But that doesn't mean that you need to overlay it on your entire life. So use this positive self-talk and say, okay, all right, I messed up, I slipped up a little bit, but let's get back on track now. I got this. I'm powerful. I'm wonderful. I'm fit. I'm going to do this. Whatever your goals are, speak them, feel them emotionally, okay? And because we're talking to ourselves all day long, whether we realize it or not, right? That's how we rationalize things. That's how we think about things. It's asking and answering questions in our own heads. So why not use powerful statements, powerful questions that you can get empowering answers to, right? How much more of a beautiful thing, an empowering thing, and confidence boosting thing is it to do that, right? Rather than negative self-talk. Let's use powerful, positive self-talk, optimistic self-talk to pick ourselves back up and to sustain these habits that we've promised ourselves that we were going to sustain. Okay, so the next piece here is what I call habit swapping. Okay, so instead of, for instance, if you smoke, right, and you want to quit smoking, right, instead of just going cold turkey with smoking, what a lot of people do is they realize that part of the habit and part of why they smoke is that behavior of raising their fingers up to their mouth and stepping out for a break and getting some quote-unquote fresh air while they're out there to kind of de-stress and sort of, just step away from the office or whatever, right? To go on a little smoke break or to go out there and socialize, chit-chat. And these things are, it satisfies a lot of human needs, this habit of smoking. But obviously, ultimately, as we all know at this point, it's terrible for you. It'll kill you. And so you can use habit swapping, for instance, if you want to quit smoking or quit a bad habit by replacing that bad habit with something else, right? With a replacement that like a something that might help you kind of wean off of the bad habit. Okay, break the bad habit. And one thing you could do, for instance, if you're smoking, is pick up one of these the electronic cigarettes, and you can puff on that. Right, it still has nicotine, still not necessarily good for you, but better than it's at least smoking and filling your lungs up with death and cancer. Right, so habit swapping. Okay, another idea is the lollipops, right? You might have seen people that are trying to quit smoking to replace that oral fixation of constantly raising a cigarette back up to their mouth with a lollipop, right? So they still have that habit, but they're just replacing it with a better one, right? Or at least one that is less harmful, okay? So that's an idea, habit swapping, okay? Next piece here is that a lot of people think that it takes 21 days to build a habit, right? And it doesn't. It takes longer than that on average. Okay, that's a myth. It is a scientifically disproven myth that it takes 21 days to form a habit. I used to think it did too. I've actually even read it in books, but more recently, research is telling us that it takes longer than 21 days. How long exactly? Well, it takes, on average, for the average person, it takes 66 days, okay, to build a habit. Now, that's the average, okay? But the range is a lot more widespread than that, okay? The spread, to be exact, is between 18 days and 254 days, all right, to build a habit. But again, I just wanted to throw that out there and let you know about that. But on average, for most of us, it takes about 66 days. For me, personally, what I have found is that for me, it takes about 30 to 45 days to install a new habit, okay? And that's when, at that point, it becomes automatic for me. I start doing it without thinking about it, right? And that's when you know something's become a habit. So just keep that in mind. And I bring that up because a lot of people give up. They give up too early. So don't give up too early. Sustain that mother. Stick with it, man, because it can take longer. But once that thing becomes a habit, once that thing that's so hard to do in the beginning just smoothens out, solidifies, and becomes part of you, then it becomes so much easier, I promise you. It becomes so much easier. What felt so painful in the beginning becomes a simple part of your daily routines and rituals in the 60 days later or 70 days later, 80 days later. So just stick with it. Just stick with it. I promise you it'll be worth it. Next idea. Next idea is to set up small rewards for yourself. Okay, what are small rewards? So to build a habit, one of the things that really is super effective is this personal small rewarding system that you can set up for yourself. For instance, for example, one of the things that I used to do and still do is when I go to the gym, I like to pre-make my protein shakes, and I get really, really excited about it, right? So I'll have my protein shake and I'll put the powder in there, and I've got a couple different flavors. And so I'll make a concoction beforehand and I'll bring it with me to the gym. And what I like to do is, this is the exciting part for me, for my weird self, is that I'll get different fruits, right? Different dried fruits. For instance, one of my favorite protein shakes is to have my double, it's extreme chocolate protein, and I put dates. I'll slice up some dates, some ready-made dates, and I'll put them in there, and then I'll put a little bit of cinnamon in there, and sometimes I'll bring maybe I'll cut a banana in half and I'll slice that up and I'll put that in there with the dates too, and I'll prepare that and I'll bring it with me to the gym, and so I'll put it in my locker, right? And then by the time halfway through my workout, or 3/4 of the way through my workout, when I'm feeling tired, or when I'm just cranking away and my stamina is starting to drop a little bit, oddly enough, I think about that and it helps me work a little bit harder. It helps me power through it. It helps me finish up, because I know that that's waiting for me in the locker, and to me it tastes really, really good. I really enjoy it. And so those things help. So these small little rewards really, really help. So as many of them as you can set up for yourself, the better. Okay? So that's an idea. And now let's talk about the next idea, the 8th idea here. The 8th tip is to just give yourself 1 day per week to rest and renew and relax. Okay, it can be and this is in the context of goal setting and trying to get these, achieve these things and stick with our habits and our resolution. Some days we just need to just relax, renew, recharge our batteries. So I would suggest to you, I would commend to you that if you don't have just 1 day a week to do nothing, to step away from your laptop or your work desk, or to not think about email and work and what needs to happen tomorrow, or what project or this client or that. Just one of the most powerful things I've ever committed to doing was just my Mondays with my wife. My wife and I both have every single Monday reserved for just us. No work, no email, no nothing. We just hang out. We don't think about business. We don't think about our work-related problems or our work-related. I don't look at email. None of that stuff. I don't allow that to derail me from my 1 day per week of rest. Now, and that can be hard sometimes because a lot of us are addicted to email stuff, right? A lot of us are addicted to handling things immediately with our clients. A lot of us are addicted to that stuff and or constantly worrying and being anxious about our professional, parts of our lives. So it's incredibly helpful when you can step away from that and completely detach from it. I mean, completely detach from it. Even if you really enjoy the work that you do, I am incredibly fulfilled with the work that I do. But sometimes there are those times when it can be a little bit painful, where that discipline needs to kick in, where it's sometimes you just want to just not do it anymore, or you just want to relax. So it's very helpful to me sometimes when I know that I have my Mondays, with my wife, and we're just going to relax, or we're going to spend some time in nature, or we're going to do something that has nothing to do with the professional parts of our lives, but has everything to do with reconnecting, with spending time together, with just being in the bliss of not having to do anything. Whew. Not having to do anything. Just chilling out. Feels good. Give it a shot. Reserve 1 day a week for yourself. Maybe that's Friday, maybe that's Saturday, maybe that's Sunday, whatever it is. Pick a day, commit to it. Don't do anything that you don't want to do on that day, and stay away from work. Next big idea. Okay, so the next piece here is number 9. The ninth tip is to use technology and apps, right? Use those to your advantage, right? So I put together a list of some really cool apps that you might find useful, and they correspond with some of these really popular New Year's resolutions, okay? So the first one is, for instance, if you don't have time to work out, then there's an awesome app created by Nike called the Nike Plus Training Club, right? And what that does is, it's a free app. You can download it. I'll link up all this stuff in the show notes for you, by the way. But you download it, and it sets up workouts for you that you can do anywhere, anytime, if you're really short on time or if you're traveling or whatever. Okay, so it's a cool app. Give that a shot. Next app here is the Calm app. I love this app. It's called Calm. You can download it in the App Store. Again, I'll provide you with the links or whatever for all of these. But it's like a guided type of meditation app. It's really, really cool, where it'll just be like this woman in the background, and she'll just be like, all right. And she'll just with this soothed, calming voice, and this nature in the background, which you can choose. You can hear like oceans in the background, or you can hear rain in the background, or some sort of a nature-based theme, and you'll hear her kind of just putting you into this relaxing state, and she'll just chime in every few minutes or whatever. You can set it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And if you just need to just take a quick break to calm down during the day, it helps you. Okay? So check that out if being mindful or meditation or reconnecting with yourself or the spiritual part of you has been a resolution for you, or is one of your goals or habits that you'd like to put in place for 2015. Okay, so that's a cool one. Also, by the way, if you haven't read or heard the video that I did where I actually show you the simple steps to meditation, you can check that out as well, which I'll link up in the show notes, but it's available on my blog at blog.deanbokhari.com, or on the show notes that I'm going to have for you here at meaningfulhq.com. Okay, so check that out. And another one. Okay, so if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to get on track with your fitness, got to keep track with the food that you're eating, right? So if you want to be successful with something, you want to measure your results. MyFitnessPal is an awesome app that I've been using for years to keep track of my calories. It lets you, if you're counting calories, you want to make sure that you don't go over or whatever. Or for me, it's just kind of fun at this point because most of the stuff that I eat, I know what the caloric density actually is. But if you're unsure, you're trying to lose fat, trying to get fit, whatever it is, you need to count those calories. This is an excellent app. It's a tool to help you do that. It even helps you store meals. So say, for instance, you're out grocery shopping. You want to check, whether something is within your range or not. You can scan it, or you can look something up if you're at a restaurant. It has a lot of popular restaurants in it already in its database, right? So, and then at the end of the day, it has these logs. So you can actually calculate, how good you're doing, how bad you're doing. It helps you track your weight loss goals and all those cool things. So it's a really neat app. And research also shows us that people that have lost like 30 plus pounds of weight, I believe it is, are twice as likely to plan their meals and their snacks ahead of time, okay, than those who don't lose that much weight. So if weight loss is your goal, you want to lose 30 plus pounds, or you want to lose more weight, then create a food diary. Use MyFitnessPal. Download the app and use it and keep track. And even share it with people. Hold yourself accountable by telling other people, because that works too. And so use these things. Use these things to your advantage because they work. They really do. They really work. So that's one piece. Oh, and of course, if one of your resolutions is to expand your mind, to grow your knowledge, to read more in less time, and you're too busy to do it, come on over to getflashnotes.com. Yes, that's mine. Yes, that's a personal plug. Come on over and get started for $1. We've got a library full of self-improvement and business books that you can read or listen to in under 20 minutes. So check that out if reading more is a goal of yours or a habit of yours for 2015. Okay, and then the final piece, the final science-backed tip for making your habits stick is to write down your resolutions. Write them down. Okay, people who commit their goals to paper are more likely to follow through. Okay, this is a study conducted by the University of California. Okay, and they basically conducted a study where they tracked that people who wrote their goals down on paper versus people who did not, just kept them airy-fairy. And you've probably heard this. I knew this. I heard about this a long time ago before I knew that it was research-driven and proven and science-backed. And I did it. I realized it for myself, and I've been doing it ever since. Okay? Writing your goals, your wants, the things you desire down on paper, committing to paper is a beautiful thing. It helps you really crystallize what you want. It helps you organize your thoughts. It helps you put things down visually on paper to help your mind visualize them in your mind's eye as well, so that eventually what you imagine to be true actually comes to fruition in your real life, real talk, real reality, man. So it's good stuff. So an example of that could be, you want to have a certain way, like a sequence or a template, for instance, that you would use to write your goals down, okay? And you could set up these things that we've talked about. And so here's how you want to set it up. You want to have your planning period, okay? You want to have a start date that you want to put down on paper. So get a journal, by the way. If you don't have a journal, that would take me another episode to talk about all the benefits of. But in any case, write this stuff down. Write your goals down. Have a period of when you would begin, okay? When you're going to start, when you're committed to beginning, okay? Then you want to set up a goal by anticipating your weak spots. Okay, you want to include those in there. You want to think about, write down any support systems that you're going to use as well, like one of these apps, for instance. Okay, and if it's a bad habit that you're trying to break, then don't forget to ask yourself, what problem is this habit supposed to solve for me? Like, what am I gonna get out of like not doing this anymore? And what's the pleasure I'm going to receive from doing this, and the pain that I'm going to avoid from not doing this? So these things you want to keep in mind. You want to work them in to your goal setting, planning and goal setting ritual that you're going to do here when you write your goals down, when you write your resolutions down. Okay, so here's an example of how one might set up a monthly, like a weight loss plan. Okay, so if you want to lose fat, I like to say lose fat, not lose weight, because for a lot of us, like myself, for example, weight loss is not a goal, but fat loss is a goal. Okay, for a lot of men, that's huge. For women, weight loss often means fat loss, but it's whatever. So what you want to, for instance, if it's fat loss, okay, you want to write something like this down. I will set a monthly fat loss plan, right? I will, for the month in the month of February, I commit to working out at least 5 days per week. If I have a busy day at work and I can't commit to going to the gym because of that, then I will run around the block, or I will pull out my Nike Plus app to ensure that I get a good workout in that allows me to still work out in that compressed period of time. If I am too tired to work out, then I will open up my journal and I will look at all the reasons why I need to work out, or why all of the things that I will receive, the pleasure that I will get from working out, and the pain that I will avoid from not working out. So you want to set those things up for yourself, right? So commit. Write down what you want. Write down how badly you want it. Why do I want this? And you write down all the pleasure you're going to get from doing it, all the pain you're going to avoid from not doing it. And that way, you'll be able to set yourself up, man. You'll be able to set yourself up for success, to motivate yourself, to not be sort of just like whisked away from this imaginary sense of, I hope that this will work. I hope this won't. No, it'll put you in control as much as you can actually be in control. We can't control everything, but we can control certain things. And why not use what's been proven to work? Okay, again, identify what you want when you set your goals. Identify why you want them. Okay, identify all the pleasure that you're going to get from following through, all the pain that you're going to avoid from if you don't follow through, and ultimately how you're going to feel, right? What could you do how could you live your life? How much better could it be if you actually did this, if you actually achieved this? So that's it. That's your top 10 tips for making habits stick. Okay? Ask yourself if you really want it. Create habit ramps. Put your mental fitness to work because it leads to physical fitness. Number 4, use mistakes to your advantage by reframing them as mistakes. Number 5, use the habit swapping method. Number 6, understand that it takes longer than 21 days. It takes 66 days to build a habit or to break a habit. And number 7 is to set up a small reward system for yourself. Okay. Number 8, to give yourself one free day a week, okay, for rest and renewal, to recharge. Okay, so you can still have the energy, the power to continue on with these habits that you've resolved to maintain, so you can power through it. And number 9, use technology and apps to your advantage. And then finally, number 10 is to write down your goals, baby. That's what I got for you. I really hope that this serves you, this helps you, and let's power through these. Let's get after it, man. I really hope that in 1 year from now, after you've listened to this, you follow through, you send me an email and you say, hey, Dean, I got it, man. I did this. I set this goal. I resolved to do it. And I was part of that small group of people that actually stuck with it. I really want to hear that from you. So let me know how this works out. I hope that you use it. Listen to this again if you need to. And if you have any questions, what I want to start doing here in the new year to help you with this is to take some of your questions, because I get a lot of emails, and I'm going to start answering some of these popular questions about, life habits, about productivity, about, personal renewal, about confidence, all these different types of questions that come up about self-improvement overall. And I want to start answering these for you in these episodes. Okay, so if you have any questions, email me at questions@deanbokhari.com. Questions@deanbokhari.com. And that's DEAN, B as in boy, OKHARI. That's deanbokhari.com. DEANBOKHARI. So shoot me an email, questions@deanbokhari.com. Let me know, what are your self-improvement questions? What are the questions that you struggle with? What are the things that are painful to you that you're looking for a solution for? Let me know. I'll find the research behind it and I'll answer it for you. And I hope that these things, these are helpful to you. So please let me know. And thanks again for listening. Let's crush it in 2015. And let's get after it, baby. I'll see you on the next episode.